Hello, hello. Jai Jagannath. Welcome to Cowherd Village, your channel for the soul's adventure. I'm Coach Nathan, here to help you live a life of total health empowerment so that you can live life on your own terms. Today we're starting a new series called Nourish Your Devotion. And what we're going to do is we have this set of cards, and within the set is these cards that have a inspirational quote. This set is created by a monk named Chaitanya Charan. Very inspiring monk to me. I've listened to many of his lectures, seen him live. He's an amazing person. He runs a website called Spiritual Scientist, and I'm gonna leave a link in the description to his website. But he created this. There's 365 of these quotes, and what they do is they have an inspirational quote and then a verse connected to Bhagavad Gita. So what we'll do in these series is we'll take a card out, we'll read the inspirational quote, we'll reflect on it, and then we'll dive into some Bhagavad Gita and see how we can connect it and how we can, feel some total health empowerment and to really live grow in our life. Yeah, we want to grow. We want to make progress, right? Okay, so let's pull out number one here. Matter of fact, I wanted to show before pulling the card this website right here, Spiritual Scientist. You can see right here, the Spiritual Scientist. Very nice website. It got so many things in it. Anyways, check that out. If you have author of many books, many books, amazing person. Check that out if you feel inspired to. Okay, so let's check out our quote of the day, our nourish yourself or your nourish of devotion. This one says, let's see here. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself only with the person you were yesterday. This is an inspirational quote from Bhagavad Gita 1847. We'll read it one more. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself only with the person you were yesterday. What does that bring up in you? What do you think about that? I was thinking that, one thing that's really important in our channel is a culture of making progress. And our progress is our own progress. We can't make progress for other people, right? No matter how much we try, how much we try to control people, we're not in charge or can't even, we can't control other people's progress. Maybe if we show up and progress in our life where we influence some people in a positive way, then maybe we can help, you know what I mean? But it's ultimately that person's choice. So we have a choice to think about our progress and how we're moving forward. Let's dive in to Bhagavad Gita and let's read what the translation or the verses being spoken about and then see what's written in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. By the way, what we use is a website, called Bhaktivedanta Library, Vedabase.io. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to check out this amazing resource. Please do it. So you can see right here, there's many books right here. And you can even go to all books right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump into this Bhagavad Gita. We're going to go to chapter 18. Let me make sure that you guys can see this. Oh, see, you guys can't see this. My bad. Oh, we'll have to re-show that. But here, so what we got here, my bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. We got this website, Bhaktivedanta Database, Vedabase.io, and so many books right here, right? And so we're going to dive into Bhagavad Gita as it is. We'll go to chapter 18. And we're going to jump to text 47. This is Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is the most authoritative book of Bhagavad Gita with commentary that you can find, the most well-read. It comes with Here's the Sanskrit right here, and then goes word for word. Here's the translation. Okay, let's read this. Translation: It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's own nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So right when we read this, we think about that each one of us has a specific occupation or a specific nature that we are to be engaged in. And so if we're trying to do somebody else's occupation, and we do it even perfectly, it's better to do your own imperfectly, to make mistakes. I right away I think about how the fact of this, as we were talking about before, about a culture of making progress. The most progress we make is when we make mistakes, right? If you want to learn, then just make mistakes, right? But if we're doing some occupation that's easy for us and we're just doing it perfectly, then we really don't grow that much because we don't get pushed back. We don't get that obstacles that make us go to the next level. And so you could consider this like a killer of the soul. The soul is always meant to be growing. Adventure is always meant to be exciting, growth, progression, and moving forward in life, leveling up, sometimes we say, right? Okay, let's go into the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One's occupational duty is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita. As already discussed in previous verses, the duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra are prescribed according to the particular modes of nature. Okay, so earlier these four divisions were subscribed, but we might not be familiar with these. So Brahmin, the duties of a Brahmin, this is the intellectual class. This is considered like the head of society. And the Kshatriya is the administration class. These are the government. These are the warriors. This is administration to make sure that society is running nicely. Vaishya is the mercantile class. These people do business. They are interested in how to make money through business. And then Sudra is the laborer class, the people that are doing construction, the real practical work that we all need to make sure that our societies are working nicely. Okay? So it says that the duties according to their particular modes of nature. So what gifts do you have? What do you attract to? What are you? What is it that you are? How should I say? You're built to do this. We talk about a concept that this body is a vehicle, that we're the spirit soul, that we're not this body, that we're something different than the body. And so what kind of body do we have? It has a certain nature. Like, for instance, there's vehicles that are their nature is meant to be an 18-wheeler diesel that goes long drives around the country delivering very heavy payloads, right? And they have certain engines in them that are really meant for millions of miles. And then we have commuter cars, right, that are meant to just get us around. So similarly, so what I'm trying to say is that, or what I am saying is that just like there's different vehicles for different purposes, our body is like a vehicle that has different purposes for different people. Okay, this is our nature. Okay, let's continue. One should not imitate another's duty. It's not good if you're a commuter car to try to deliver 200, to 20,000 pound payloads. It's not good to be a commuter car and try to get on the farm and drag the land, right? And it's not good for a tractor to try to get on the racetrack and do some NASCAR, A man who is by nature attracted to the kind of work done by Sudras should not artificially claim to be a Brahmana, although he may have been born in a Brahmana family. Okay, so many times we have parents that have done something in their life. They're lawyers or doctors or this or that, or they own a business. And of course, they want their kids to do the same. So they encourage their kids, oh, well, that's what I did, and that's what Grandpa did, and that's what Grandpa did. You should do it too. But here it's saying that this isn't necessarily how somebody should understand what their work is. They should understand by their own individual nature. Okay? In this way, one should work according to his own nature. No work is abdominal if performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. Okay, now Srila Prabhupada's adding not just work, but now we should do it for a purpose. We should have a real purpose for our work. What is that purpose? Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita is explaining that it's a service for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. The occupational duty of a Brahmin is certainly in the mode of goodness. But if a person is not by nature in the mode of goodness, he should not imitate the occupational duty of a Brahmin. Okay, so mode of goodness, Srila Prabhupada is bringing in, there's three different natures. It's passion, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the teachers of society, or the brains of society, the intellectuals of society, should be in the mode of goodness, right? Whereas he's going to speak about a Kshatriya. For a Kshatriya or administrator, there is so many abominable things. A Kshatriya has to be violent to kill his enemies, and sometimes a Kshatriya has to tell lies in the sake of diplomacy. Okay, this is a Kshatriya is in the mode of passion and in the mode of goodness, and so sometimes they might have to go to war if there's an appropriate reason that people are crossing boundaries, or not doing things that are doing abominable things that are destroying society, then true administration may need to go to war for the right purpose, right? For the right reasons. And he mentions that they might have to tell a lie for the sake of diplomacy. What does that look like? Well, how about, like, there's a question sometimes put, if somebody runs by you and says, don't tell, there's somebody chasing me with a knife and they're going to kill me, please don't tell them where I'm going. And then that person, sure as heck, 30 seconds later, here comes somebody running and they have a knife in their hand. Did you see that person? Where'd that person go? And you say, I don't know. I didn't see anybody. Or you say, oh, they went that way, and that you're telling them the wrong way than the other way that they went. That lie isn't necessarily a lie. That there's purposes why, for diplomacy, a Kshatriya might lie. So, anyways, these are different ingredients or different duties of different classes of people. Such violence and duplicity accompany political affairs. But a Kshatriya is not supposed to give up his occupational duty and try to perform the duties of a Brahmin. So somebody who's an administrator shouldn't try to do other people's. Anyways, you can see, you shouldn't be doing other people's works. One should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord. For example, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was hesitating to fight the other party. But if such fighting is performed for the sake of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there need be no fear of degradation. So this really gets into the question of what's appropriate war. When is the appropriate time to fight? And so there's so when does a Kshatriya know when the appropriate time is to fight? Who do they counsel? Who do they talk to? Who do they get the answers from about when the appropriate time is to fight and not to fight? That's called the Brahmin class. So the class of intellectuals, they know the laws and principles of life and how one should act. And so they can give insight to the Kshatriya, the administration class, when is the appropriate time to fight and when not to. In the business field also, sometimes a merchant has to tell so many lies to make a profit. If he does not do so, there can be no profit. Sometimes a merchant says, oh, my dear customer, for you I am making no profit. Have you ever been trying to buy a car? And, oh, we're not making anything on this deal. For you, there's no profit, So we shouldn't take that. We shouldn't be offended by that. That's the job of the person who's trying to do business, is that they're going to say some things that aren't necessarily true. But one should know that without profit, the merchant cannot exist. Yeah, they need to make a profit, right? Therefore, it should be taken as a simple lie if a merchant says that he is not making a profit. But the merchant should not think that because he is engaging in an occupation in which the telling of lies is compulsory, he should give up his profession and pursue the profession of a brahmana. I was also thinking they shouldn't be lying for the purpose of, for the wrong purposes either. They shouldn't be, they shouldn't be lying. Um, Anyways, they shouldn't be cheating. There you go. They shouldn't be cheating you into, oh yeah, this is, this car is perfect, and it's a lemon. That's not okay. That's not good business. Um, that is not recommended, whether one is a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, an administrator or a mercantile, or a laborer, Sudra, doesn't matter. If he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so Srila Prabhupada says the quality of each person isn't in the work that they do. So this really goes with our card right here. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself only with the person you were yesterday. So we shouldn't try to compare to other people's natures, thinking that we should be like them or looking up to them. We should know that that isn't going to bring us any happiness, or it isn't the sign of our value. Our sign of our value is innate in that we are servants of the Lord and we have a relationship with Him. We're part and parcels of the Lord. And so that nature, that intrinsic nature, is more valuable than anything. As a matter of fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the soul is amazing. And if you have somebody who's amazing as God, who has created billions of universes, who, and without even thinking, is maintaining, floating every planet so perfectly that literally for the next 100 years we can just know when the sun is going to come up, that if that person says something's amazing, then it's an amazing. And so you, my friend, are amazing. You're a spirit soul, and no matter your work, you are amazing. No matter the mistakes you make, you're amazing. So we should all know that. Even Brahmins who perform different types of sacrifice sometimes must kill animals, because sometimes animals are sacrificed in such ceremonies. This isn't so much used in this life, in this day and age, but in some ages, like you'll see in the Old Testament, and anyways, in the old time in Vedas, the Brahmins would do something where they would speak mantras and they would sacrifice an animal. And what happened is their mantras were so powerful that the animal would get a whole new body. It wouldn't really kill the animal because it's a spirit soul, but it would give it a new body. It's not done so much these days. It's actually kind of abominable because people can't speak mantra, and the way to do these kind of rituals. Similarly, if a Kshatriya engaged in his own occupation kills an enemy, there is no sin incurred. If a war breaks out and it's for the right purpose, and you kill your enemy, then it is. I was thinking about how valuable this Bhagavad Gita would be for people who are in the military, because PTSD is so rampant, But if they understood that these concepts, that they're not the body, that they're a spirit soul, and that there's no sin incurred by doing your occupation. However, that can be difficult when our administration class are what was called the Kshatriyas these Kshatriyas are, anyways, bringing us into wars that aren't appropriate, They're not for the purpose of pleasing the Lord. They're actually for their own gratification, their own power, their own desires. And those kinds of wars create rippling effects throughout society that are very damaging, like things like PTSD. Anyways, in the third chapter, these matters have been clearly elaborated and explained. Everyone should work for the purpose of yajna, that means sacrifice, or for Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our work is for a sacrifice. We're sacrificing our time and our hard labor for money, right? So in a sense, there's always a purpose for work. And so we should understand what the purpose for work isn't, that the priority is money. Although we do need money, we need financial health, right? Total health empowerment. We need to be financially secure. But the purpose of life isn't for that financial security. The purpose of life is to please the Supreme Lord. And within that is financial security. Anything done for personal sense gratification is a cause of bondage. The conclusion is that everyone should be engaged according to a particular mode of nature he has acquired, and he should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so we'll go back one more time to let me pull up this right here. We're going to take this down. Our card right here. It says, don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself only with the person you were yesterday. Only with the person you were yesterday. Okay, so right now in America, there's 80% of people have some kind of anxiety and stress, very diseased mentally a situation right now. And you can see that that's the case because, through um, social media culture, we have people looking up to people, and the goal in life is to have followers. Or I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have social media. MySpace might have came out. But even before that, it was you were comparing how many friends that you had to other people. Am I popular in these things? These things cause anxiety. And so in a ultra um, competitive society with our hands in the palm of our hands, we have the ability to compare ourselves with people all over the world. It can become quite stressful. Matter of fact, we start doing things for the purpose of trying to be others instead of being ourselves. Oh, this person's getting influence. This person's liked. Maybe I should be like them. Okay, that doesn't work. That's not authenticity. However, instead of comparing ourselves to others, what we could do is we can have people like the Lord or mentors or our heroes that we look up to. And instead of trying to imitate them, trying to be they are, do the things that they are doing or be what they are, we can take inspiration about their finer qualities, their character, their compassion, their attitude, their, um, these kinds of things. So we can look up to them and try to imbibe some of the characteristics that we have so that we can live our life the way that we're meant to live, and we can overcome the imperfections or the obstacles so that we continue to progress, we continue to grow when those obstacles come. For instance, I remember when I was younger, there was a quote that said, "What would Jesus do?" And it's a very nice quote, a very honorable thought of what would Jesus do. But the question might be better put in, what would Jesus want you to do? With your own experiences, your own nature, your own situation, what is it that would make Jesus Christ smile and say, yes, you did the right thing? And so, uh, to come to that conclusion, we have to know about Jesus Christ. We have to understand his teachings and stuff. So this is within quite a bit of different spiritual, religious circles about how our character is and how we should act and how should we perform our duty with the ultimate purpose of pleasing the Lord, pleasing Jesus Christ, pleasing Krishna, pleasing Yahweh, pleasing Jehovah, pleasing Allah, all the same person with different names, but we should be acting in a way that's pleasing them. And so therefore, with our focus on how we are serving, we can look at ourselves and say, how am I progressing? How am I moving forward? Yesterday, I may have failed. I may have made a mistake. Remember in the translation, it says it's better to do one's duty imperfectly. I may make a mistake, but the next day, that same mistake or that same situation comes up, and I can overcome it and grow as a person. So this is very important for us as persons, is to progress and not to look at other people and compare ourselves to others. As I said in the beginning of this, what progress can you make for other people? Or another way to look at it is, how can you make progress when you're so interested in other people's progress? If you want to focus on your progress, then you need to focus on yourself. Okay, we can look at people and see the things that we want to imbibe so that we can be our best self. That makes sense. But to focus on other people and try to copy them or imitate them or be them, which is the truth, is a lot of people are trying to be other people, and it doesn't work. It can only last for so long before we get frustrated and life becomes unauthentic and we start to attract people that aren't actually the people that we're supposed to be attracting. If I'm trying to be someone else, the person you are has a natural ability to attract people to you and repel certain people. And so when you're being somebody else that you're not meant to be, you're going to attract people that aren't really the people that you should be attracting. And you're going to repel the people that actually really want to get to know you. So if you live in authenticity and be the person you're meant to, you're going to start to have this amazing ability to attract the people that really nourish your life. We call this in total health empowerment, your social health, your friendships. They're going to start to become very healthy when you start to compare yourself to who you are yesterday rather than trying to be someone else. So this is my first episode of Nourish Your Devotion. We're going to continue to keep on moving forward. We're going to improve, right? I'm going to progress in my service doing this, my desire to encourage people and to empower them in total health. I was thinking that maybe at the end here we can think about the different total health, the different dimensions of life that are involved in this. And as one mentioned was social health, right? How about mental health? We mentioned mental health. What's one dimension of total health empowerment? Our mental health is peaceful when we're experiencing our life through our experiences and growing from them instead of trying to experience life through other people's perspectives or other people's ways of doing things. Then we just become totally mental because we don't even know who we are. How frustrating is that? Who am I? This is such a big question, right? Who am I? I think people ask that question a lot. Maybe you ask that question. I know I've asked that question a lot, and I do ask that question a lot. And I like to introspect. Who am I? What is my duty? What is my nature? How am I improving in it? I got some clarity on it because fortunate I've had the mentors to be able to help me go in a direction and to understand my nature and the things that I'm really meant to do. However, there's always growing in that. So it's never like a complete clarity. Well, there's moments of clarity, and then the next day is a little foggy because there's growth to be done. Where am I moving towards, So, uh, what other dimensions? How about locational health? In locational health, we talk about that your internals are matching your externals. So your authenticity internally, who you are, what's your nature, what's your confidence, what's your attitude like, what's your mindset, sometimes people say, is it matching how you're acting externally? Because if you internally you don't know who you are and you're confused about it and you're trying to be other people, then externally you're going to be confused also. And so people are going to get a message that this person's confused. So yeah, total health empowerment. These are things that we really should think about and progress in 10 dimensions of life: financial, physical health, social health, mental health, emotional health, intellectual health, locational health, spiritual health, and transcendental health. And I think I missed one, but we'll get it next time. Okay, if you would be willing to, please like and subscribe, and you can share this with anybody, please. Please follow along. And one of the coolest thing is I'm planning on, in my opinion, what I think one cool thing is I'm going to try to do this live, and then I really would love to see people putting out questions or comments that we can interact, because what's really important to me is personal relationships, and I want to develop this community where we are helping each other. And what helps each other is to ask questions, because if you have a question, there's probably several other people that have the same question, and we get to explore the answer. It's an amazing way for each person to grow. So if you have any questions or comments, make a comment, ask, and we'll get back to you on it, okay? Thank you so much. Remember today's lesson: don't compare yourself to others. It was do this instead. Do this instead is to look up to people who are mentors, the Lord, and want to imbibe their character, their attitudes, and their resilience, but do it in your way, your natural way. Understand who you are. What would the Lord want me to do? Okay? I hope that was satisfying to you all.